Hello and welcome back to a new watercolour video. In today's video I'm painting this cute little picture. I did 3 little plant pots with faces on a couple of weeks back and I got loads of lovely comments about that. Everybody seemed to love it, so I thought I would maybe do a couple of little mugs with faces on this time. And this is a fairly easy one for beginners, so I'm going to go through it step by step, show you what colours I'm using and everything. The colours, the paintbrushes and all my equipment, I'll list it underneath in the description as well. If you want to download the line drawing image, it's on my Patreon and that's free to download. I'll leave links below. I'm going to try and make the paintings more simple because I am aiming for beginners, and then I think the last one that I did was a little bit difficult. It was challenging, I found it challenging, so I need to knock it back and make the paintings a little bit more simple. So I hope you'll enjoy it. So I'm going to use Daniel Smith paints again today. So I'm going to use new Gamboge, get some of that mixed up. I'm going to use some of the Aussie Red Gold and a little bit of raw Umber. We'll say this about the Daniel Smith paints. If I need to buy any more, which I do, I need to buy some more Serpentine Genuine, and I was just looking at the prices, and even though the little half pans are the cheapest, I've found that all the Daniel Smith half pans that I've purchased, there's really not very much in them. They're not completely, they're not full. There's always like a dip, and I mean half pans only hold a tiny amount of paint as it is, so going forward I don't think I would buy half pans again, because it's pretty expensive paint and then they're not even giving you like a full half pan. And then I'm going to get a little bit of pink, a little bit of Quinacridone Rose. So I'm going to start on the first mug, and I've noticed here I've got 2 different sides, so it kind of curves in here and then it curves out here. So I don't know whether to make it even or just leave it like that, because I like both sides as well. I'll curve that out to match. So I'm putting a little bit of water in the middle of the mug, but not absolutely tons. So we don't want a big puddle. And then I'm going to get the new Gamboge and paint that all around the edges. Just let it meet with the wet area. We'll go underneath here. Down this side. I'm going to try and make that side match with that side because it was slightly different. I'm going to take the colour a little bit over here so it's almost in the middle, and we'll leave our highlight kind of to the right hand side. And then I'm just going to put a little bit more water on the brush, and then I'm blending it all in around the edges to stop any watermarks. Then I'm going to get a little bit more of the new Gamboge and drop it in around this side and just slightly underneath here. I'm also going to paint the handle with the new Gamboge. Just putting the paint on neat. Dabbing the brush off. And then I'm going to lift a little bit of a highlight out here at the top. So I'm going to get a little bit of the Aussie Red Gold and mix it with the Quin Rose. So I've got a really deep reddy orange, and I'm going to just add a little bit of that down that side and just let it blend in kind of loosely. Maybe a little bit across the bottom as well. And just kind of down that side and very slightly underneath. And then on the handle, I'm going to go on the inside and then just this bottom area. And then just leave that one to dry for now, and I'll move on to this one. I'm going to get some more of the Quinacridone Rose and some of that Aussie Red Gold. So I want it to be more of a kind of coral colour. Then I'm going to do the same with this one, little bit of water in the middle, just around the face area, and then drop in the colour all around the edges.
Come on, soft, turn the key and cool her off.
And then just using getting some pink, some of the Quinacridone Rose. I'm just going to drop some of that around the edges.
Free pass, you don't even have to ask to be the cat in the sun. Someday I will see the whole deal through. Today I've got better.
Go around, leave a gap where the green leaves will be, and paint this rim.
And be the cat in the sun.
Now I'm going to move on to the leaves, and I'm going to get some rich green gold, which is a really yellowy kind of green, and some Cascade Green for the shadowy bits. I've got some of the rich green gold and I'm really watering it down just for a base layer on the leaves. So we'll paint the whole thing in this really light base layer, all of the leaves.
Be the cat in the sun. Set aside every empty spreadsheet line and loosen up on the grind. Simmer down.
I'm going to do the same with the Cascade Green, water it down a little bit. So some of the leaves are dry and some of them are wet, but I'm just going to add a little bit of shading. So that's far too dark, so I'm going to really water that down a lot more. Just light layers of shading just in some areas. So I'm going to kind of go down to sort of one side on this one, and then oops, that one's still, see, that one's still quite wet, but that's fine. Some of them will blend because it's still wet, and then some of them will leave hard edges. Just go down that area on that one. It's mainly kind of down one side, and then just let it kind of do its own thing. Just try and make them all a little bit different. And then we'll just go right down this side on this one. Right down here. We'll make this side a lot darker. So we'll leave that for the base layers, let it dry, and then we'll add some final details over the top. Okay, so I've dried that off with the heat gun. If you're new to watercolour, it's really important to dry things off before you put the next layer on, because your colours will run into each other when if you don't want them to run into each other. It can be really annoying. Next, I'm going to get some of that raw umber, just make it quite watery, don't want it too strong. I'm going to paint in the soil in the cup.
Be the cat in the sun. will see the whole deal through today. I've got better things.
And I'm going to now get some indigo, then get some of that and make a really watery version. I'm going to paint the handle of this mug in the indigo, but I want it super light, so I'm going to add a little bit of water there on my brush and make that really, really light in colour, so that it kind of maybe looks a little bit white, but there's some shadowing on it, so it's a little bit strong. But I'll paint it in and then lift some of it back out. So lift it out, wipe it on the sponge. So we've just got a faint hint of colour. Then I'm getting that weak indigo again, and I'm going to create a surface that they're sitting on. I'm going to go all along, right underneath both mugs. Just let it kind of taper off at the sides. And then just rub along the bottom back and forth with your brush, and just get a little bit more stronger paint and kind of just drop a few streaks in like this, and then maybe dab a few little bits of water in there, and it'll just give it an uneven kind of watercolour look, give it a bit of character. So we'll dry that off. I'm going to get the mix from earlier that I first put on this, and I'm going to go over, I'm going to use a small brush. So I've changed to a small detail brush, and I'm going to fill this in. The rim of this mug is going to be the same colour as that mug. I'm going to change brush again. I think this liner brush will be better for this. So we just do a light layer first of all and let it dry. I'm getting some of the Quinacridone Rose and I'm going to paint the cheeks in. That's like a bit too strong, so we just want it a little bit weaker than that. So I'll do little round cheeks on this one, and then more oval cheeks on this one. Then I'm going to get that Quinacridone Rose again, and I think this is almost dry. I'm going to paint a very thin rim across the edge. Raw Umber, I'm going to add some little bit of shadowing here with the raw umber. So I'm just going to put 2 blobs on like that, wipe my brush off, and then just maybe drag it across a little bit. A little bit stronger right in the corner. Leave that to dry, and then the same with the other mug handle, only with a strong indigo mix. So we'll put it down in a blob here, wipe the brush off and drag it out. I'll just wash the brush there, got some water, just drag it like that, and then just across this bit here, make it look a little bit more like it's a bit of shade. I'm just rubbing on that edge because it's just a little bit too harsh, and then get some much stronger, oops, and then just dab it in there. Okay, so I think that's the two mugs finished. So now we'll add some more detail to the soil. So I've got some raw umber on the brush, and I'm just gonna basically dab in some texture, some soil texture. I want to make it dark across here, so do a fairly dark line and then dab on that line to kind of disguise it on this side. A little bit of sepia right from the pan on the brush because this is super dark, and add some more blobs, just some random blobs, not too many. Right, just leave that to dry. I'm going to get some of that dark indigo, add some shadows. So yeah, so the shadows are kind of going to be from this side, so we'll go underneath. So switch to the larger brush for this. So we're going to go underneath the cup like this, nice and dark, but not out this side. So we're going to make like a curve. So curve underneath, and then we're not going to go right up to the handle, just go about this far up and then out like this. And then same for this, so we want to go out, underneath, and then kind of out that way. Yeah, that'll do for the shadows, I think. Might just get a little bit, just put a little mark there and a little mark there, now that that's dry, just to make that a little bit darker. Now the leaves, so back to using the little liner brush and the Cascade Green. I'm going to do a little line down the side of the stalk. Just a little line across here, middle, just put a little line in the middle and across the bottom. Maybe make this side just a little bit darker. Don't want anything too strong on the leaves. I want to keep them subtle because we want the actual cups themselves to stand out more. Then on here I want to make this side fairly dark, so I'm going to paint right down the middle like this, across this edge, and then I want to make it kind of darkish here so that it's going to stand out against the other leaf. So just put the shade in here. I'm going to make this one dark, so go right up the middle, just like that. Make it darker this side, and then darken the whole of the bottom area like this. Kind of blend that in a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to kind of leave that like that. Don't want too much detail on the leaves. Then I'm going to get some of the raw umber, and on these leaves I'm just going to add some little marks to make it look like there's maybe some little holes in the leaves. I'm going to get some water on my brush, and now that I think this is dried now, I'm just going to rub on those edges a little bit because they're just a little bit too harsh. Just slightly blend them out a little bit. I'm going to dry the whole thing off for one final time. And now I'm going to outline the whole thing with black. So just very loose outline, not too thick. And I'm just going to add some few little lines on here, on this side. Just a few little lines on here. And then the very last thing is to add the eyes. And the mouths. So there we go, easy, loose, fun little watercolour painting to just get you used to the medium if you're new to watercolour, and it could probably make a lovely little picture that you can frame as well. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. I'll have another one up on Wednesday, and thanks very much for watching.